I'm 77 years old, and I need to tell you something that might save your most important relationships. For 57 years, I believed a lie, a comfortable, dangerous lie that cost me everything. I thought friends would always be there. I thought the people who loved me would wait forever. I thought there would always be another phone call, another dinner, another chance to say the things I should have said years ago. I was wrong. 3 years ago, something happened that shattered everything I believed about friendship, about loyalty, about time itself. My best friend died. His name was Robert. We'd known each other since we were 20 years old. 57 years of history, laughter, arguments, and silence. And now he's gone. I never got to tell him what he meant to me. Not really. Not the way he deserved to hear it. I kept telling myself there would be time, that someday we'd sit down over a beer and I'd finally say the words. Someday never came. If you're watching this, you probably have someone like Robert in your life, someone you've known for years, someone you keep meaning to call, someone you assume will always be there, waiting for you to show up. Let me tell you something nobody told me when I was your age. They won't wait forever. The phone calls you keep putting off, one day there won't be anyone to answer. The visits you keep rescheduling, one day there won't be anywhere to go. The words you keep swallowing, one day it will be too late to say them. This is my story. It's not pretty, it's not comfortable, but it's true. And you need to hear it before you make the same mistakes I did. 3 years ago, I was sitting in my home office. It was a Tuesday morning, October 14th. I remember because I was going over quarterly tax projections. That's what I was doing when my life changed forever. The phone rang. I almost didn't answer. I was busy, important work, numbers that needed crunching, but something made me pick up. Maybe it was instinct, maybe it was fate, I don't know. It was Robert's wife, Margaret. He's gone, she said, just like that, no warning, no build-up. 3 syllables that rewrote my entire existence. Robert had a heart attack that morning. He was making coffee. 1 minute he was reaching for his favorite mug, the one I'd given him as a joke 30 years ago, and the next minute he was on the floor. He was 74 years old. I didn't say anything for what felt like hours. I just stood there, holding the phone, staring at the wall. The numbers on my computer screen blurred into meaningless shapes. Robert was dead. My best friend, my oldest friend, the person who knew me better than anyone on this earth. Gone. I drove to his house in a daze. I don't remember the drive. I don't remember parking. I just remember standing in his living room, looking at his empty chair and realizing I would never see him sit there again. The funeral was 5 days later. I stood at the back of the church watching people file in, colleagues, neighbors, family members I'd never met. And I kept thinking the same thing over and over. When was the last time I called him? I couldn't remember. Was it 3 weeks ago? A month? Longer? I pulled out my phone right there in the church and scrolled through my call history. My hands were shaking, and when I found his name, my heart stopped. 6 weeks. It had been 6 weeks since I'd called my best friend. 6 weeks since I'd heard his voice. 6 weeks of I'll call him tomorrow that turned into I'll call him next week that turned into never. 6 weeks. And now I would never call him again. At the reception, Margaret pulled me aside. She pressed something into my hand. It was a letter, handwritten, Robert's handwriting. He wrote this a month ago, she said. He wanted you to have it. I couldn't open it there, not in front of all those people. So I took it home and sat in my car in the driveway for an hour before I found the courage to read it. The letter was 3 pages long. Robert wrote about our friendship, about the time we got lost hiking in the Adirondacks when we were 23. About the night I called him crying after my first divorce, about all the years we'd spent as neighbors, raising our kids side by side. But the last paragraph destroyed me. I miss you, he wrote. I know you're busy. I know you have your work and your life. But I miss the way things used to be. I miss our Tuesday dinners. I miss our fishing trips. I miss my friend. I keep hoping you'll call, but I understand if you don't. Just know that no matter what, you're still the best friend I ever had. He wrote that letter 1 month before he died, and I never called. I sat in that car and wept like I hadn't wept since I was a child. 45 minutes of pure, uncontrollable grief. Not just for Robert, for every phone call I didn't make, for every dinner I canceled, for every time I chose work over friendship. I wept for the man I had become. That night, I looked in the mirror for a long time, and I asked myself a question that I'd been avoiding for decades. What kind of friend had I been? The answer broke me. Let me tell you how I got here. How a man who genuinely loved his best friend managed to let that friendship wither and die. It starts with a lie I told myself for 57 years. I have time. When Robert and I were young, we were inseparable. We met in college, both of us studying accounting, both of us terrified of the real world. We used to joke that we'd end up as old men on a porch somewhere, still arguing about baseball. That was the plan, but somewhere along the way, the plan changed. At 25, I got my first real job, big firm, long hours. I told Robert we'd catch up on the weekends. We didn't. At 30, I got married. Beautiful woman, new house, new responsibilities. I told Robert we'd catch up when things settled down. They never did. At 35, my daughter was born, then my son 2 years later. I was drowning in diapers, promotions, and mortgage payments. I told Robert we'd catch up when the kids were older, so I waited. At 40, I made partner at the firm, youngest partner in their history. I was on top of the world. I told Robert we'd celebrate properly as soon as the workload eased up, so I waited. Again. At 45, my marriage fell apart. Divorce, custody battles, a second marriage that demanded all my attention. I told Robert we'd reconnect when my life stabilized, so I waited again. Do you see the pattern? I kept pushing Robert to the margins of my life, not because I didn't care. I cared deeply, but because I believed he would always be there. I believed our friendship was indestructible. I believed that no matter how long I waited, he would still be waiting for me. That was my mistake. For years, Robert was the one who kept us connected. He called, he scheduled dinners, he remembered birthdays, he sent Christmas cards. He did all the work of maintaining our friendship while I coasted on his effort. I told myself I was too busy. I told myself he understood. I told myself that real friendship didn't need constant maintenance, that we could go months without talking and pick up right where we left off. And maybe that was true. But here's what nobody tells you about that kind of friendship. Just because you can go months without talking doesn't mean you should. Just because someone understands your absence doesn't mean they don't feel it. Robert felt it. I know that now. I see it in his letter, in the space between his words, in the longing he tried to hide behind understanding. He missed me, and I was too busy to notice. Looking back, I can see all the moments I threw away, the fishing trips I canceled, the Tuesday dinners that became monthly, then quarterly, then annual, then nothing, the grandchildren's birthdays I missed because I had work stuff. I was building an empire. I was climbing ladders. I was chasing success that would prove my worth to people I didn't even like. And the whole time, my best friend was sitting at home waiting for a phone call that never came. You want to know the worst part? I had the career, I had the money, I had the reputation. But I didn't have Robert at my table on Christmas. I didn't have our Tuesday dinners. I didn't have the one person who knew the real me. Not the successful accountant, not the twice-divorced workaholic, but the scared kid from Ohio who didn't know what he was doing. I traded all of that for spreadsheets, for quarterly reports, for a corner office I barely used. Was it worth it? You already know the answer. Let me tell you the biggest lie you're probably telling yourself right now. I have time. You look at your friends, the ones you haven't called in weeks, the ones whose text you keep meaning to return, and you think they'll be there, they understand, we'll catch up eventually. Let me save you 50 years of regret with one simple truth. Eventually never comes. I thought I had time with Robert. I thought our friendship was different, special, immune to the passage of years and the erosion of neglect. I was a fool. Here's the thing about time. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't send warnings. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, "This is your last chance." It just runs out. Silently, completely. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's already over. Robert didn't know he was going to die that morning. He was making coffee. He was probably thinking about what to have for lunch. He wasn't writing his final words or making his peace with the universe. He was just living. And then he wasn't. That's how it works. That's how it always works. And if you think you're somehow exempt from this reality, you're making the same mistake I made. Here's another lie I believed for decades. Real friendships don't need maintenance. You've probably heard this one. Maybe you've even said it. If the friendship is real, it doesn't matter how long we go without talking. We just pick up where we left off. And yes, that's partly true. Some friendships can survive distance and silence. But surviving isn't thriving. Just because a friendship can survive neglect doesn't mean it should. Just because your friend forgives your absence doesn't mean they don't notice it. Just because they understand your busy life doesn't mean they don't wish you'd choose them sometimes. Robert understood. He always understood. But understanding didn't stop him from being lonely. It didn't stop him from wondering why his best friend couldn't find 30 minutes for a phone call. It didn't stop him from writing a letter that essentially said, "I miss you, but I know I'm not a priority." Is that what you want your friends to feel? Is that the friendship you're offering? Here's the third lie, and this one might sting. They know how I feel. No, they don't. I never told Robert what he meant to me. Not really. Not in the specific, vulnerable, uncomfortable way that matters. I assumed he knew. I assumed all those years of friendship spoke for themselves. They didn't. When I read his letter, I realized something devastating. Robert died wondering if I still valued him. Robert died hoping I'd call. Robert died with words unspoken between us that can never be spoken now. Do your friends know how you feel about them? Have you told them? Not in casual, jokey ways. Not in "love you, man," thrown over your shoulder as you leave. But really told them, "You changed my life. I wouldn't have survived that year without you. You're one of the most important people in the world to me." Have you said those words to their face while they're still alive to hear them? I didn't, and I will carry that regret to my grave. Let me tell you about another friend of mine. His name was Douglas. We worked together for 20 years. He was the hardest worker I ever knew. First one in the office, last one to leave. He sacrificed everything for his career, vacations, relationships, his health. Douglas died 8 years ago, heart attack, alone in his apartment. They didn't find him for 3 days. At his funeral, his brother gave the eulogy, and he said something I've never forgotten. Douglas was a successful man, but I barely knew him. None of us did. He gave everything to his work and had nothing left for the people who loved him. I sat in that pew and felt relieved. That's not me, I thought. I have Robert, I have friendships. I'm not like Douglas, but I was. I was exactly like Douglas, just slower about it, just more gradual in my withdrawal, just better at pretending I was still connected while I let everything important slip away, don't you see? You can have all the success in the world and still die alone. You can have achievements and accolades and a beautiful eulogy and still leave this earth with words unspoken and love unexpressed. Is that the legacy you want? Is that how you want to be remembered? You want to know what haunts me at 3 a.m? It's not the big things. It's not some dramatic moment where I chose wrong. It's the small things, the ordinary moments I threw away without even noticing. Let me tell you what keeps me up at night. The fishing trip to Montana. Robert planned it for our 60th birthdays. We'd talked about it for years. 2 weeks in the wilderness, just us. No phones, no work, no distractions, just two old friends, some fishing rods, and mountains that don't care about quarterly reports. I canceled 3 days before we were supposed to leave. A client needed me, an emergency that I can't even remember now. Something about tax codes or audit preparations or some other nonsense that felt so urgent at the time. I told Robert we'd reschedule. We never did. He went alone that year, sent me a photo of himself holding a rainbow trout the size of my arm. He was smiling, but his eyes looked sad. I didn't notice it then. I see it now every time I look at that photo. That trip would have given us 2 weeks of memories. Instead, I have a photo of my best friend, alone on a riverbank, wondering why I didn't come. The words I never said. I never told Robert that he saved my life. Not literally, but close enough. When my first marriage ended, I was in a dark place, drinking too much, working too much, thinking thoughts that scared me. Robert showed up at my door one night with a 6-pack and a deck of cards. He didn't ask questions. He didn't offer advice. He just sat with me. For 3 months, he showed up every single night. He never told anyone, never made a big deal about it, just kept showing up until I found my footing again. I never thanked him properly. I meant to. I planned to. I kept waiting for the right moment, some special occasion where I could make a grand gesture. But the right moment never came. And now Robert died without knowing that he's the reason I'm still here. Would 30 seconds have killed me? Would looking him in the eye and saying, "You saved my life and I love you for it," have been so hard? Apparently it was. The last Christmas. 2 years before Robert died, Margaret invited me to their Christmas dinner. Extended family, big celebration. Robert specifically asked me to come. I said I was too busy. I wasn't too busy. I just didn't feel like making the drive. Didn't feel like being social. Didn't feel like sitting through small talk with people I barely knew. So I stayed home, watched football, fell asleep on the couch. That was Robert's second to last Christmas, and I spent it alone on my couch while he sat at his table wondering where I was. I could have been there. I should have been there. The phone calls I didn't return. In the last year of Robert's life, he called me 11 times. I know because I went back and counted after he died. 11 calls. Some I answered. Most I let go to voicemail with a mental note to call back later. That word should be illegal. 3 of those voicemails were just Robert saying hello, checking in, hoping I was doing okay. The last one, left 2 weeks before he died, ended with him saying, "Miss you, buddy. Call me when you get a chance." I never got a chance. No, that's a lie. I had plenty of chances. I just didn't take them. The photograph. There's a photograph of Robert and me from our college graduation. 2 22-year-olds with bad haircuts and huge smiles, arms around each other, the whole world ahead of us. Robert had that photo framed in his office for 55 years. I had mine in a box somewhere. I'm not even sure where. I think it's in the garage, maybe the attic. I kept meaning to find it and hang it up. I never did. Robert looked at my face every single day for 55 years. I couldn't even remember where I put his. What does that tell you about who I was, about what I valued, about the kind of friend I had become? The Tuesday dinners. For 15 years, Robert and I had dinner together every Tuesday night. Same restaurant, same booth, same time. It was our thing, sacred, unbreakable, until it wasn't. I started canceling work stuff, family stuff, stuff that seemed important but wasn't. The Tuesday dinners became monthly, then quarterly, then they stopped altogether. Robert kept the reservation for 2 years after I stopped showing up. Every Tuesday, he'd call the restaurant and hold our booth, just in case I remembered, just in case I decided to show up. Margaret told me that at the funeral. 2 years. He waited for 2 years, and I never came. After Robert died, something inside me broke. But here's the strange thing about breaking. Sometimes you need to shatter completely before you can rebuild yourself into something better. I was 74 years old when I finally woke up. 74. I'd spent 54 years as an adult, and only in the last 3 have I actually started living. The first thing I did was call everyone who mattered. Not text, not email, call. My sister, who I hadn't spoken to in 8 months, my college roommate who I'd lost touch with years ago, my neighbor who I'd waved to for a decade but never really talked to, my daughter who'd gotten used to our relationship being surface level. I called them all, and I said the things I should have said years ago. I love you. I'm sorry I've been distant. You matter to me. I don't want to waste any more time. Some of those conversations were awkward. Some were tearful. Some were long overdue. All of them were necessary. The second thing I did was clear my calendar. I looked at my schedule, packed with meetings and obligations and things I'd agreed to out of habit, and I started deleting board positions, committees, networking events. Social obligations that drained me more than they filled me, gone. If it didn't involve genuine connection, it didn't deserve my time. The third thing I did was show up. Every birthday, every holiday, every random Tuesday when someone needed company, I stopped waiting to be invited. I stopped waiting for the perfect moment. I just showed up. My grandson's school play, front row, my daughter's dinner party. I'm there. My neighbor's wife's funeral. I stayed all day. I became the friend I should have been all along. And you know what happened? People started showing up for me too. Not because I demanded it, not because I guilted them into it, but because presence creates presence. Connection creates connection. When you show up for people, they show up for you. I'm 77 now. I have more friends at 77 than I had at 50. Real friends. The kind who call just to talk. The kind who show up when you need them. The kind who know the real you and love you anyway. 3 years ago, I was wealthy and successful and completely alone. Now I'm still wealthy and successful, but my house is full of people I love. The irony is almost unbearable. I spent 50 years building a career that isolated me. And in 3 years of actually trying, I built a community that sustains me. Why did I wait so long? Why did it take Robert's death to wake me up? I wish I had answers. But all I have is this. I'm happier now at 77, with less time ahead than I was at 47 when I thought I had all the time in the world. Less time, more life. That's the trade I made, and it was worth it. Now I want to talk to you. Yes, you, the person watching this video. I want to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. When was the last time you called your best friend? Not texted, called, actually heard their voice, actually had a conversation that wasn't about logistics or plans or surface level updates. When? If you can't remember, that's your answer. I know what you're thinking right now. I know because I thought it too for 50 years. They understand. They know I'm busy. We'll catch up when things calm down. Things don't calm down. They never calm down. Life doesn't slow down so you can prioritize the people you love. It speeds up. It piles on more obligations, more responsibilities, more reasons to postpone the phone call you keep meaning to make. And then one day, your phone rings, and someone tells you your best friend is dead. And all those postponed phone calls become impossible. Is that what you want? Let me ask you another question. If your best friend died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with your last conversation? Think about it. Really think about it. Was your last interaction meaningful? Did you say what needed to be said? Did they know, truly know how much they mean to you? Or was it just logistics, plans, surface-level pleasantries that could have been exchanged with anyone? If your friend died tomorrow, would you have regrets? I know my answer. I live with it every day. What's yours? Here's what nobody tells you about friendship. It requires effort, not grand gestures, not expensive gifts, not elaborate plans, just effort. A phone call once a week, a visit once a month, a text that says, thinking of you for no reason at all. Small things, consistent things, things that add up over time into something irreplaceable. But we don't do them. We tell ourselves friendship should be effortless, that if it's real, it doesn't need maintenance, that the people who matter will always be there waiting for us to remember them. That's a lie. Friendship is like a garden. If you don't tend it, it dies, slowly at first, then all at once. And by the time you notice the weeds, it's too late to save it. I'm not trying to scare you. Actually, that's not true. I am trying to scare you, because fear is what finally woke me up. Fear of dying with regrets. Fear of losing everyone I loved through my own neglect. Fear of becoming the cautionary tale I'm telling you right now. That fear saved me, and maybe it can save you too. You're not too busy. You're just prioritizing wrong. You have time for social media. You have time for streaming shows. You have time for scrolling through your phone at midnight. You have time. You're just not spending it on the people who matter. And one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 50 years, you're going to realize what you've lost, and by then it will be too late to get it back. Don't wait for the phone call. Don't wait for the funeral. Don't wait until someone you love is gone before you realize you should have shown up more. Show up now, today, while they're still here. If I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self, here's what I would say. Listen carefully. Stop. Stop assuming your friends will always be there. They won't. They're not immortal. Neither are you. Every time you put off a phone call, you're gambling with time you might not have. Stop saying later. Later is a thief. It steals moments you'll never get back. It convinces you there's always tomorrow. There isn't always tomorrow. Stop prioritizing work over people. Your job will replace you within a week of your departure. Your friends, they're irreplaceable. Act like it. Stop hiding behind busyness. Busyness is a choice. It's a shield we use to avoid the vulnerability of real connection. Put down the shield. Stop assuming they know how you feel. They don't. Not really. Not in the way that matters. Words unspoken are words unheard. Say them. Start calling the people you love, not tomorrow, today, right now when you finish this video. Pick up the phone and call someone you've been meaning to call. Start showing up. Birthdays, holidays, random Tuesdays. Be there, in person, looking them in the eyes, showing them they matter. Start saying the uncomfortable things. I love you. You changed my life. I don't know what I'd do without you. Yes, it's awkward. Yes, it's vulnerable. Do it anyway. Start treating every interaction like it might be the last, because one day it will be, and you won't know until it's over. Start protecting your friendships like your life depends on them, because it does. Studies show that loneliness kills faster than obesity, smoking, or alcoholism. Your friends aren't just nice to have, they're essential. If you haven't called your best friend in over a month, call them today, not tomorrow, today. If you've been meaning to visit someone, book the trip this week. Don't wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. If there are words stuck in your throat, words of love, gratitude, forgiveness, say them out loud to their face while they can still hear you. If you've been coasting on friendships, expecting them to maintain themselves, stop. Start doing the work. Start being the friend who calls, who shows up, who remembers. Do you know what my biggest regret is? It's not the fishing trip. It's not the phone calls, it's not even the Tuesday dinners, it's that Robert did all the work. For 57 years, Robert maintained our friendship. He called, he planned, he showed up, he reached out, and I just received. I took and took and took, and I never gave back. Not really. Not the way he deserved. Don't be like me. Don't be the friend who only receives. Be the friend who shows up. Be the friend who calls. Be the friend who does the work. Because one day there won't be anyone left to do it for you. I'm 77 years old now. I've been living intentionally for only 3 years. 3 years out of 77. A fraction of my life spent actually being present for the people I love. And these have been the best 3 years of my life. I don't say that to brag. I say it because I want you to understand something important. It's not too late for you. It wasn't too late for me at 74, and it's not too late for you now, no matter how old you are or how much time you've wasted. The phone is still there. Your friends are still alive. The words are still waiting to be said. But here's the bittersweet truth. I would give anything to have those 50 years back. To have started living for my friendships at 24 instead of 74. To have made Robert a priority when we had decades ahead instead of months. Those years are gone. I can't get them back. All I have now is the time that remains, and I refuse to waste another day of it. Every Tuesday, I still think about Robert. I wake up and for a split second, I forget. I think about calling him, suggesting we grab dinner, maybe finally take that fishing trip. And then I remember, he's gone. That split second of forgetting is both a blessing and a curse. For one moment, I have my friend back. Then reality crashes in and I lose him all over again. But here's what I've learned. Grief doesn't mean the friendship failed. It means the friendship mattered. I grieve Robert because I loved him. I carry this weight because he was worth carrying. The pain I feel is the price of having had something real. And given the choice, I would pay that price again. I just wish I had been worthy of what he gave me. The irony of my life is this. I finally understand what matters, and I have less time to act on it than ever before. But that's okay, because understanding late is better than never understanding at all. I have friends now, real ones, people who know me, flaws and all, and love me anyway. People I call every week, people I show up for, people who know exactly what they mean to me because I tell them, regularly, out loud, with no shame. Robert taught me that. His death taught me that. And if I can pass that lesson on to you, if this video reaches even one person and convinces them to pick up the phone today, then maybe Robert's death meant something. Maybe it saved someone else from my regrets. You have a choice right now, today, this very moment. You can keep living the way you're living, assuming your friends will always be there, saying later to phone calls, postponing visits, swallowing words that need to be spoken, or you can wake up. You can realize that time is running out faster than you think, that the people you love are not immortal, that every day you postpone is a day you'll never get back. Which will it be? Robert waited for me for 57 years. He waited for phone calls that didn't come, for visits I kept rescheduling, for a friend who kept choosing everything else over him. He waited until he couldn't wait anymore. Don't make the people in your life wait. Don't make them wonder if you care. Don't let them write letters asking where you went. Show up now. The trip you've been postponing, book it this week. The friend you've been meaning to call them tonight. The words stuck in your throat, say them tomorrow at the latest. Not someday, not later. Not when things calm down, now, because someday is today. It always has been. The clock is ticking for you, for me, for everyone you love. What are you going to do with your time? If this story reached you, if something I said made you think about the friends you've been neglecting, I need you to do something. Share this video. Not for me. I don't need the views. I need people to hear this message before it's too late for them. Share it with someone who needs a wake-up call, someone who's been coasting on friendships, someone who keeps saying later to the people who matter. And then do something else. Leave a comment below. Tell me who you're going to call. Tell me what you're going to say. Tell me about the friend you've been neglecting and what you're going to do differently starting today. I read every comment, every single one, and your stories give me hope that Robert's death wasn't in vain. Subscribe if you want more of these conversations. I have more truths to share, and honestly, not much time left to share them. But more importantly, close this video and make a phone call right now, before you forget, before life gets in the way, before later becomes never. Your friends are waiting. Don't make them wait any longer. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to an old man's regrets. Now go be a better friend than I was. You still have time. Use it.